Hey friends, Happy New Year. It's Tim Shurr, and I wanted to do something different this year instead of just interviewing people. I thought I would take the opportunity to just start recording some of my thoughts about, what makes us happy and successful. So I'm on the road a lot as well, and often I don't have a lot of time to do podcasts, but I always have my phone with me. So I figure while I'm on a 20-minute drive or an hour drive or a 12-hour drive, I'm just going to record some podcasts, so I hope you like it. There's no particular order. I just started thinking about different topics and things that I would discuss with my clients during the week, and then I would grab the phone and I would do a podcast on it. So in this first one that you're about to hear, I thought about giving this podcast series a title. So I came up with Unlocking the Secrets of Your Mind, but it's all part of the same Mesmerizing podcast. So I've got quite a few episodes that I'm going to be releasing here in the new year in 2019. Yay, it's a brand new year. It's actually January 2nd right now where I'm putting this together. I'm not exactly sure when I'm going to release it, but it's going to be within the next week or so. And then I'm just going to start releasing as many of these as I can. So that way we get to hang out a lot more, and it's going to be exciting. So I have so much to share with you. I've learned so much from so many different people from so many different places. You know, one of the great things about my job is I'm constantly talking to pretty amazing people, whether it's in corporate America or while I'm doing a program for a nonprofit association, or I'm helping someone with a fundraiser, or I'm working with my clients privately that are coming in for different things. But what I've realized is that at the end of the day, it's kind of all the same stuff that we're always talking about: how to be happy, how to feel good, how to accomplish our goals, how to control our mind and our thoughts and our feelings. So I'm really excited about releasing this. And the first one is happening right now. It's entitled How Your Mind Works. So I hope you enjoy, and Happy New Year. Here's the question. What's going on inside the minds of top achievers that cause them to make extraordinary breakthroughs both personally and professionally? My name is Tim Shurr, and I invite you to join me as we take a deep dive into the unconscious mind and discover how to transform your biggest dreams into a reality. Welcome to the How to Be Mesmerizing podcast. Good morning. Welcome to my brand new podcast. It's called Unlocking the Secrets of Your Mind. My name is Tim Shurr. I'm president of Shurr Success Seminars, and I've spent almost the last 30 years walking around in people's unconscious minds. As a success coach and a hypnotherapist and an NLP guy, I've had people coming to me to help them with all kinds of challenges. It didn't matter what was going on. Usually these people had tried everything else and they weren't getting results. And because of my unique, interesting background in training and education, I was able to help them get pretty outstanding results within about 30 minutes or less. So I want to start sharing with you some of these mind mastery strategies and how your mind works and how to program yourself for success so that you don't have to struggle. I mean, in life, pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional. And there's a lot of needless suffering that happens in the world. And so I have made my life about helping people, as many people as I can, end a whole bunch of needless suffering. Now, most of the suffering that we have comes through insecurity, feeling like somehow in some way we're not enough. And because of that fear that we're not enough, that's what drives all the other fears. The fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of success, right? The fear of being humiliated or embarrassed, the fear of abandonment, people leaving us. And so what I want to do is help you understand how your mind works, and then start giving you strategies and tips and techniques for how to overcome those common fears and how to create more, I call it inner pieces. It's pieces of peace, right? I don't know. I have not learned how to feel, inner peace 24 hours a day. I think that part of the human experience is having the ups and downs and feeling all of the emotions. Anybody that I've ever read about that had inner peace and enlightenment, they usually were somebody that was in a monastery or in a cave by themselves for 20 years, and all they did was meditate, which is great. But put them in America and make them an entrepreneur and then tell them to have that state of mind. Like the Dalai Lama, cool guy, very kind, funny, generous, And I'm sure he has his human struggles and challenges. Yet, he's not out there trying to make money. He's not out there trying to raise a family. He doesn't have children, right? So, sometimes it can be easier to talk about having peace. For example, I see some of these experts that talk about raising children and then come to find out they don't have any, right? So, in fact, most of the relationship experts that you have heard about or you've seen their books on the bestsellers list, they've been divorced 2 or 3 times. So, I guess through all that experience, they learn what not to do, and it helped them to become better at what to do in relationships. So my point is that we all have our ups and downs, right? And I want to give you practical advice that's going to apply to your life. And I'm going to assume that your life has, an equal amount of stress and challenge as it does happiness and joy. And so I want to show you how to create those moments of inner peace and really how to train your brain to achieve the goals that you want to achieve instead of relying on willpower, because willpower is very fleeting. It lasts about as long as your smartphone battery when it says you have 15% left on your battery, and then poop, it's gone, right? So instead, what we're going to focus on is how do you train your emotional unconscious mind, because emotions will overcome logic every day of the week. And unless you have trained your emotional mind to respond in the way that you want to. So now I'm also doing this in my car. So if you hear me driving, right, that's because I'm in my car doing these recordings. It's as an entrepreneur, I'm almost exclusively in front of people, either doing seminars or coaching. So I don't have much free time at all. If I have free time, I'm spending it with my amazing wife and my 2 beautiful boys. And so, and I can't make videos in the car because I'm driving, and I don't want to do that because that's unsafe. But I thought, you know what? I can talk while I'm driving, and I've got this 20 or 30 minutes each day heading to work or coming home. And as an entrepreneur, we've got to maximize every moment of our time. And if you're not an entrepreneur, you can still be maximizing your time. Tony Robbins calls it net time, no extra time, right? So that we can make every moment count. And so that's what I'm doing here. And hopefully you're listening to this while you're driving or while you're going for a walk. I always believe that you should turn your car into a university, and you should be training yourself, or turn it into a spa and listen to positive information that calms the spirit and makes you feel more calm. And it helps you feel more tranquil and peaceful and at ease. I think that's so exciting to think of it in this way, where you can turn your daily drives that can feel monotonous, you can turn them into moments of power, where you hear some idea and it sparks something inside of you and causes you to say, you know what, that's a great idea. I'm going to do that today. I'm going to put that into action right now. And it can totally flip a switch inside of you and get you feeling excited and passionate and motivated and ready for action, so that you're learning how to use the power of your mind to create your life by design. Woohoo! That's awesome, right? Yeah, we want to make sure that we are getting the most out of today. It doesn't matter what the weather's like outside. It's going to be warm, sunny, and bright inside of you. Can I have an amen? Amen, brothers and sisters. Okay, so we're going to kick this off by talking a little bit about how your mind works and how to use your mind to your advantage. So let's just say that we have 2 parts of our mind. Now, people have all kinds of ideas about how many parts of the mind that we have. Sigmund Freud back in the day said that we had the id, the ego, and the superego. And the id was the childish 2-year-old inside of us that says, I want it now. I want it. I don't care. I want it. And it has a temper tantrum, right? That's the part of us that kicks in when we want immediate gratification. When we want that cookie and we don't care if we're trying to lose weight. When we want that cigarette and we don't care that we just decided to stop smoking, right? Or whatever it may be. When we get into an argument and instead of looking to make a deposit into your relationship account, we bounce a check or make a withdrawal because we'd rather be right than happy. And so that's the id part of us that comes out. Then we have the ego part of us, and that is, well, let me talk about the super ego. So then we have the flip side is the super ego. So that is more of the higher conscious, more of the do the right thing part of us. You know, that gut feeling that we get inside that tells us you should do the right thing, you should apologize, you should give in and let someone else feel good about themselves. You should be generous, you should be a giver, not a taker. And it's more of our higher intellect. So General Norman Schwarzkopf once said that everybody knows the right thing to do. It's the doing it that's the hard part. And that's our superconscious. So if you ever had a gut feeling that you should listen to yourself and do something and then you didn't, which, you know, happens all the time, and then we're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I listen to myself? Why did I listen to everybody else? I should have listened to myself. And well, that, of course, comes from a negative belief, you know, a self-limiting belief that we're not going to be good enough, smart enough, and so we have to get everybody else's opinion. But that's for another talk, okay, because we're going to shift that and help you get your shift together, because you should be listening to yourself and appreciating your point of view, because you're just as valuable and valid, and your opinions and ideas and beliefs are just as important as everybody else's. So now, of course, we might need more points of view and more growth and more education and more maturity. But still, you count and you matter. So we've got the superego, and the superego, is trying to get us to do the right thing. Then we have the ego, okay? So now the ego is in the middle of the two. And the ego is trying to sort things out. But the ego wants to feel important and special and needed more than anything else. That ego wants to feel needed. It wants to feel significant. We all want to feel cared about. We all want to feel special. We all want people to like us and love us. And if we don't feel like we can get that, or we didn't get it growing up, then maybe it's our need for significance that takes over. And when we have a need to feel significant, important, better than others, it's a way of masking our insecurities. And that's when you find the people, if they're not psychotic, then you find people who are, and when I say psychotic, the new term is sociopath, where they just don't feel empathy at all, right? So, or they're narcissistic, where they're so full of themselves, they can't even relate to other people's feelings. But mostly that's not the case. Mostly people are trying to feel significant, and they'll do it by building up the tallest building in town or blowing up the tallest building in town. We will do it by achieving everything so we can say, hey, look what I've done, or by tearing down what everybody else achieves, or trying to steal it and make it our own. So a lot of people who are greedy in this world are being driven by that need for significance, which is why no matter how much they get, how much they acquire, it's never enough. And they don't become a philanthropist where they're sharing it and discovering the true gift of money, which isn't money itself, but the good you can do in the world with it. Instead, they become unhappy, miserable SOBs and just want more, and take more, and they'll lay off 100,000 people just so that a couple numbers on their graph for their top line revenue, looks better, or their bottom line revenue. So we want to understand what's driving us so that we can have influence over it. If we don't know what's driving us, then how can we take charge? So I'm going to keep this simple and just say that there are two parts of our mind. There's our conscious mind and our unconscious mind. Our conscious mind is the part of us that is in control of our logic and our willpower. So it's the part of you that takes in information from your senses. So it looks, it listens, it learns, it smells, it tastes, and it touches. And all that data comes in through your brain, and it gets flushed through your filters. Now, your filters are stored in your unconscious mind, okay? So your unconscious mind is the part of you that keeps all the systems inside of you running. So it keeps your heart beating 100,000 times a day. You don't even have to think about it. It's in charge of respiration, digestion, metabolism. It's in charge of all your autonomic functions inside of you that you don't have to think about. It's also in charge of your filters and the programs that you are running in your mind. Okay, it's in charge of your habits, your beliefs, your past experiences, your references, your assumptions, right? All of that data that you have accumulated from your life experiences are stored in this library of your mind. And when I talk about filters, I'm talking about the filters that you have. When information comes in through your senses, it's neutral. It doesn't mean anything until you run it through the filters of your unconscious mind and assess meaning to it. And once we start labeling things, then we respond or react mostly based on the assumptions that we are making. It's based on the labels that we give it. It's based on the beliefs that we have that alter or skew or influence what we think just happened. So we're not responding to the event itself. We're responding to our interpretation of what just happened. So for example, if you go on a roller coaster and you have this notion that roller coasters are terrible because either you have been up high and you didn't like it, or you heard people screaming and it freaked you out, or you had been on a roller coaster before and it was scary. Now you have this data, or you grow up around other people who were terrified of roller coasters and they never did that. And so now you have this belief and this viewpoint that roller coasters are horrifying. And so you get on them and it freaks you out. And then, you have a horrifying experience and it reinforces those beliefs and assumptions. And that keeps happening over and over. And so then you just think, I don't like roller coasters. Where somebody else might have a different interpretation. Their body goes through the same adrenaline, they have the same tension, the same anticipation, the same fear, but then they get on and they're excited because they have a different set of filters. They're looking at it as, I enjoy the rush. I like being scared. I like the thrill and the adventure of it all, and the variety and the intensity of it. And so you can have two people that grew up in the same family and they have very different responses in life because they have different filters that have been developed. So what we want to do is understand, how do you influence the filters that you have, right? How do you shift what's going on in your unconscious mind? Because when people try to achieve a goal, what they do is they rely on their willpower and their logic and their conscious mind, and they will create a plan and they'll put action steps together, and they'll maybe put some rewards and consequences down, and then they go for it. And sometimes people will last a couple of weeks, and sometimes people don't even make it to the end of the day before their plan went right out the window. As they say, the best, I forget what they say. The best roads to success are paved with good intentions, right? That never get fulfilled. And so what we want to do is understand, all right, what's the breakdown here? And the breakdown is people are fighting their emotional mind, their unconscious mind. They get pulled in a different direction. They haven't made sure that their beliefs are focused in the right way, that they actually believe they're going to succeed, or they believe that a challenge is just an opportunity to rise up and get stronger, or they don't have a belief that failure is just feedback. You're just getting feedback so you can correct on the fly and keep moving forward. Instead, or if they're not meeting their needs. We all have these unconscious needs. The need for safety, we want to feel safe. The need for some variety, we like to mix it up. We get bored doing the same thing over and over. The need for significance that we talked about, the need to feel special or important. The need for love and connection, to have those bonds, or to feel like people care about us, or we're being valued, or what we're doing matters. And then we have some other needs, like the need for contribution and growth. Through achieving your goal, you will be growing as a person. And if you look at it that way, then it will keep you motivated. and if you're contributing. So maybe you getting healthy isn't just for you, it's for your family too, right? So if you're smoking and you can't breathe and you can't play with the grandkids, then you quitting smoking isn't just good for you, it's good for your whole family. And it's good for your grandkids to have those great memories of being able to be active and play with their grandparents, because then hopefully one day they become grandparents and do the same thing, right? So you bring love through the generations. So being able to recognize that we are constantly making assumptions and associations and emotional attachments to everything that's happening inside of us and storing that in our unconscious mind gives us the ability to start doing some of this intentionally, on purpose, right? And when that happens, then you really start to get some momentum going, because now you are really learning how to train yourself for success, how to use the power of your mind to create your life by design, because you're intentionally associating, positive feelings and emotions to whatever it is that you want to achieve, to the action steps. You are intentionally meeting your needs through what you're doing, through the achievement of your goal, and through taking the action steps every day that will lead to your goal. And you are learning how to use your conscious mind as well, so that you can train your mind in that way as well, so that what you're saying to yourself and what you're focusing on and the way you're describing what you're doing is activating the right emotions that are going to drive your behavior and help you to follow through each day. And if you keep doing that for 61 days in a row, it carves a new neural pathway into your mind, which is what we call a habit. And all of a sudden it becomes automated. It becomes a part of your filter now. It becomes a part of your unconscious mind. There's three or four different ways to get things really locked into your unconscious mind, but repetition is definitely one of them, where you're doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over until it becomes second nature. Now, through this series, we're going to talk about other ways to train that subconscious mind of yours as well, but I just made it to the office, so that means that's the end of this podcast for right now. We'll pick up and do another one tomorrow. But anyway, I hope that you have enjoyed this, and I hope you subscribe to the podcast so that you can get all the other valuable lessons that I'm going to be sharing. And make sure you share this with your friends as well, because everybody needs to learn how their brain works. And, most of the time, we're upgrading the software in our computer and our smartphone. We always have updates to get rid of the bugs and to make things work better. But a lot of human beings are still running on MS-DOS, in their brain. And we want to learn how to create an upgrade of the software in your mind so that you really are using your mind to your full advantage. Whew. I just had to walk up a whole bunch of steps while I'm talking to you. So now that I'm breathing heavy, oh my gosh. Okay, feeling better. So it's interesting because, I exercise a lot, and still those stairs, I don't know what it is. It's like climbing a mountain every morning. But that's what I do. I could walk a little farther and take the elevator, but I'm going to take the stairs. So, all right. Well, you have a fantastic day. Thanks so much for listening. I really care about you and your success. So make today count and make it a sure success. And we'll talk to you next time. Bye. Hey, would you like more free tips on how to be a mesmerizing leader? Then check out mesmerizingleadership.com. And also hang out with me on Facebook, facebook.com/Tim Shurr. Thanks so much, and make your day a sure success.